Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 319 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger Mr. Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing, man?
I'm good, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Always good when speaking with you. Let's dive straight into the review part of the show. Then we will have our sole guest. It's going to be Bradley Skeete, former British champion at welterweight. And then, of course, in part two, the news and the preview part. Then that will be about it. Let's start, like I say, with the review part. It took place at the SNHU. I think it's SNU, or I'm not sure how it's said. It's an arena in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA. Over here. Let's start with the undercard. Julio Cesar Martinez, 18-1. He got in with McWilliams Arroyo, 21-4. A no contest after 3 rounds there. He was winning the fight, Martinez. It was a no contest because Arroyo couldn't continue after an accidental head clash. He said he couldn't see. Martinez down in the first round and Arroyo down in the first round. Arroyo as well down in the second round. A crazy fight, obviously, for Martinez's WBC flyweight world title. Shocked to see Martinez down and in some bother, really. But then, he got back up. I think it was a left hook that put him down. He got back up and, Arroyo, I felt, got a little bit too excited, got a little bit too aggressive from that point, and he got caught himself with a left hook, and he was down, and he got dropped hard. The bell went as he got up. He didn't have to take another shot. Then obviously the cut happened in the second round, and he's down again in the second round, Arroyo. And like we say, at the end of that second round, Arroyo said he couldn't see. No contest, though it goes down as a third round no contest for some reason. But I'm not sure. I don't want to say he was looking for a way out of the fight. It's hard to tell. You don't really know. You can look at a cut and you can determine how bad a cut is, but you don't really know about an injury, an eye injury as well. You don't know if he can or can't see, if his vision's blurred. You can't see these kinds of things. But for me, I think it did kind of look like he was looking for a way out. I hope I'm wrong, but he's a tough guy. He's known for that. He's been round the block, and it's another no contest there for Julio Cesar Martinez. On the undercard, once again, Murodjon Akhmadaliev, now 10-0, a unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Jose Velasquez, who's now 29-7 with 2 draws. That one was for the WBA and IBF World Super Bantamweight titles. It's good to see a Super Bantamweight World Champion, Murodjon Akhmadaliev, who holds 2 of the 4 belts. It's good to see him fighting a week prior to the other 2 belts being contested, which we'll get to in the preview part of the show between Brandon Figueroa and Stephen Fulton. So it's good to see all the belts being contested for within 7 days. We want to see the big fight for all of the belts in 2022. Murodjon Akhmadaliev going the distance there. The first time he'd gone 12 rounds against a very tough Velasquez, who took a lot of big shots throughout the fight and also returned with his own. He had some moments in the fight, Velasquez, who I think was a late replacement as well for Akhmadaliev. I actually wrote on Twitter before the fight that there's 3 things that you can bet on this weekend, and I'm not saying they're going to happen, but I think they're very likely. And Murodjon Akhmadaliev to win on points was a really unpopular pick, but it came in here. I don't think anyone listened to me, but it is what it is. A good win for Akhmadaliev, all being said. Elsewhere on that card, we had Callie Reese win a split decision over 10 2-minute rounds against Jessica Kamara. Kamara now 8-3 for the WBA, vacant WBO and IBO female super lightweight titles. Callie Reese, for me, I don't think she won the fight, to be honest with you. I think that Jessica Kamara won the fight. I think she landed the better shots. Callie Reese, very under-impressive. You know, I think that this little tournament that they're doing at super lightweight, between, obviously, there was 4 girls to start with: Jessica Kamara, Chantel Cameron, Mary McGee, and Callie Reese. Or I think it said, is it Kylie or Kaylee Reese? I think it's actually said. So I've been saying it wrong the whole time. But anyways, the 2 ladies that fought in the first fight, Chantel Cameron and Mary McGee, I think they were the 2 better of the 4, the 2 better ones. So unfortunately, that would have been a great final, but that was the first fight. So obviously Mary McGee's out of it. Jessica Kamara is now out of it, and the final will be between Chantel Cameron and Kaylee Reese. Chantel Cameron was sat ringside. I think her style, Kaylee Reese's style, is tailor-made for Chantel Cameron, even though Kamara didn't win the fight. And it was close, you know, it could have gone either way. I'm not saying she won clearly. It was close. But, you know, I actually think that Reese's style is much easier for Cameron, and I think she's actually going to stop Kaylee Reese. We shall see, though. It's brilliant to see this buzz around women's boxing at the minute. It's like almost every week there's a good women's fight, and this was another good fight. I feel for Jessica Kamara, who, you know, doesn't really get anything. You know, she was the dark horse in this 4-female tournament, and she deserved better than what she got there. She did, but, you know, one judge did give it to her. But yeah, it didn't go her way in the end. A little bit gutted for her. Maybe she should fight Mary McGee, you know? Both of them need a win. That'd be a nice fight. I like the sound of that. Anyway, elsewhere on the card, Australia's very own Dempsey McKean moved to 20-0, a TKO in round 6 against Don Hainsworth, who's now 16-8 with a draw. He either knocks you out or gets knocked out, Don Hainsworth, and he got knocked out here as predicted. And of course, the main event, Demetrius Andrade, now 31-0, a TKO in round 2 against Jason Quigley of Ireland, now 19-2, a defense there for Andrade's WBO middleweight world title. Completely, as we said, to be honest with you, he was so overmatched. Quigley was down in the first round. He seemed to me to be waiting too long right in front of Andrade, and obviously down twice in the second round. The first was a big left hand that Andrade threw from his waist, and the second was just a barrage of shots. Down he went, like we say, for the third time, and the referee, Arthur Mercante Jr., waved it off. Not many times do we predict an Andrade knockout, you know, and we predicted that here, and he did it, like we say, in 2 rounds. It speaks volumes about that, though, the fact that we said he's going to probably knock this guy out. I don't think we probably saw it come in that early, but I had a bet on it to go that early, for him to knock him out that early. I can't say I was overly shocked. Good performance from Andrade, Eddie.
Yeah, he's, you know, he did what we expected him to do, get him out of there. Obviously, I think the fight plan he had with Quigley can't be the same when he fights, you know, a more elite level guy. Quigley being tough and, you know, proud and wanting to go out on the shield, and not so much go out on the shield, but wanting to win and being the kind of guy that would go out there and try. It was a commendable effort, and, you know, to be in there. But reality is, you know, no disrespect to him, but he's just not on that level. I like some of the things that Andrade did, but I also didn't like some of them too. I think a lot of what he was doing was based on the opponent. I feel like you have to fight not necessarily just based on the opponent, though, because sometimes you'll get in there with a guy who you expect to beat but has a style that's a little weird for you, a little uncomfortable for you, and therefore you got to go back to doing what's going to be successful, you know what I mean, over the course of a 12-round fight. I think he went in there with the idea of just, I'm going to bomb this guy out, and I'm going to throw big shots from the onset. And, you know, he seemed like he was being a little patient early on, but he was throwing some fat shots at him, and he was throwing a little bit, some of these shots were just a little bit too much for me. You know what I mean? I would have liked to have seen him do, you know, a little more conventionally, throw some shots. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was the recipe that was going to win. But then again, I feel like he could have done anything, not anything, but anything within reason of his ability, and he would have been able to come out on top, you know, in a spectacular fashion. The only gripe about it was, you know, I would like to see him be, obviously when I say I would like to see him do some different things in there with a better opponent. So if that's the only gripe I have. I think he's a fantastic fighter. He's one of the best out there, but not everybody's going to be Jason Quigley, and that's no disrespect to him, but that's just the facts. And I would, like I said, I like to see something a little more tactical, a little more careful, a little smarter. You know what I mean? Of course, you're supposed to get your guy out of there immediately. You don't get paid for overtime, but just a little bit more, you know, a little more thought behind it. And that's just from me watching it. I mean, I could tell by the way he did it, the way he went out there, that he knew this was a fight that was only going to be a round or two. Look, he's a professional. He's one of the top guys out there. There's no doubt about it, like I said before. But obviously he's going to, once he steps up, once the competition is, you know, obviously more dangerous, he's not going to fight the same kind of fight. So in my opinion, if I had only one thing to gripe about, it would be just, I would say, fight as you would be fighting a world champion. And if you get him out of there, great, which we expected that to happen anyway. But, hey, look, I can't say much. You know, he did what he was supposed to do and got him out of there. So, good performance. If I have one gripe, it was that one. That was it.
Yeah, and I think that I believe Jason Quigley had his jaw broken in the first round as well, which we should mention. Yeah, good performance from Andrade. And since then, I think Andrade has got his team or whatever to write to the WBC and try and get them to make him, I think it's Jamal Charlo's mandatory to try and force that fight. That's a fight we'd love to see. Moving on, though, to the Universum Gym in Hamburg, Germany. Over here, we saw Zan Kosabutski move to 17-0, a TKO in round 5 against the previously undefeated 11-0 Alexis Garcia. That one was for the vacant WBC International Silver Heavyweight title. On the undercard, we had Jeremias Ponce, now 29-0, the guy that beat Lewis Ritson. He got a KO in the second round against Michel Marcano, who's now 22-5 with a draw. Jose Lardu as well. He was on the undercard, 7-0 now, a KO in round 2 against Leandro Rabuti. That one was for the vacant WBC Latino heavyweight title. Lardu is a Cuban fighter, Cuban heavyweight. And also Avni Yildirim, 24-4 now, a unanimous decision over 10 against Yusuf Kangul, who's now 20-5 with a draw. That's it for Germany. Moving out now to Ukraine at the AKO International in Kiev. We saw Artem Dalakian return to the ring after a long layoff. He successfully defended his WBA flyweight world title with a TKO in round 9 against Luis Concepcion, who is now 39-9. And moving out now to the Wembley Arena in Wembley, London. Over here, let's start with, I'm not sure it was the main event. I don't think it was. Hosea Burton now 26-3. A TKO loss in round 7 against Dan Aziz, who's now 15-0. Tyson Fury, the cousin of Hosea Burton, was sat ringside cheering him on, but it wasn't enough. He, like I say, was stopped. It was for the vacant British light heavyweight title. To be honest with you, Dan Aziz wiped the floor with Hosea Burton. He absolutely battered him and blooded him, every round really. And like I say, I actually think that Hosea Burton should consider hanging him up now. It just doesn't seem like he's going to get to any significant level. When I say significant, I mean that respectfully. You know, he boxed obviously for a British title. I think he was British champion before he lost to Frank Buglioni, but something's missing. He doesn't seem the same fighter he once was. And Dan Aziz, I mean, credit to him, full credit to him. It's a good name for his record there. It's a good name for his resume and his legacy and all the rest of that. But there's some huge fights that can be made domestically. I know Craig Spider Richards was ringside. What a fight that'd be. There's a lot of guys as well that are just underneath that level, but are British kind of level, you know. He's right up there with the best that we've got, domestically. Elsewhere on the card, Richard Riakporhe now 13-0, a TKO in round 5 against a very awful Olan Rawaju Duradola, now 36-9. He didn't even throw a right hand upstairs, Duradola. Every right hand he threw was to the body, and he seemed to be reaching every time. Riakporhe was very patient and took him out, like I say, in round 5. He didn't even seem like he tried Duradola. I know he's 42 or something now. It was for the vacant WBC Silver Cruiserweight title. Poor performance. Elsewhere, we had on the undercard, Florian Marku moved to 10-0 with a draw, a points win over 8 against Joe Rick Luisetto, now 11-3. Mikel Lawal with a win as well, he's 15-0 now, a TKO in round 5 against Leandro Bruzesi, who's now 20-7. Natasha Jonas, a late addition to the card. This is another pick of mine. Those 3 picks, I said that Akhmadaliev would win on points. I picked that Duradola could win by knockout against Richard Riakporhe. That didn't come close to happening. And Natasha Jonas to win on points against Veda Maciokate. The reason I said that was because Veda Maciokate, her record was 2-11 with 4 draws. She'd only been knocked out once in the 11, and it was to Chantel Cameron, who stops a lot of girls. And obviously Natasha Jonas is a lot smaller than Chantel Cameron, and yeah, just because Chantel Cameron knocked someone out and 10 other girls didn't, I didn't think Jonas would, despite Jonas being a little bit of a puncher. But yeah, I thought that would go to points, and it did, over 6 2-minute rounds there. Natasha Jonas now 10-2 with a draw. Yeah, that's about it there. Moving out now to the Manuel R. Time Community Center Theater in Miami, Florida. Over here, Uniel Daltakos now 25-2, a TKO in round 2 against Jesse Bryan, the American, who I think I said on last week's show that he was like a heavyweight or something like that. I got that awfully wrong. I think he was really about like a middleweight or a super middleweight or something. He wound up fighting at cruiserweight here. At one point in his career, he took about 7, 8, 9 years out the ring, and yeah, I think he was on a win streak after coming back, but he's lost there in round 2 against Daltakos. A horrific mismatch, really. Daltakos, one of the best cruiserweights that we have on the entire in the world, I should say. I'm not sure where I was going with that. Moving out now to the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. This one, of course, the final card to mention. On the undercard, we had wins for Isaac Dogboe, now 23-2, a majority decision over 10 against Christopher Diaz, now 26-4. That one was for the NABF featherweight title. Isaac Dogboe, I have to still continue to say this, has not looked the same fighter since moving from 122 to 126. He's too small really for 126, it's been said by everyone, and he hasn't been as impressive. I mean, this guy once upon a time knocked out Jesse Magdaleno for the world title. Those 2 fights he had against Emmanuel Navarrete, I'm starting to wonder if they took a significant chunk out of him, because since those fights he hasn't looked the same, and he's had a couple close fights in a row now. Close one again against Christopher Diaz. A lot of people felt he did enough to win. Also on the card, Zanibek Alim Kanuli, now 11-0, a TKO in round 8 against a very, very tough Hassan Ndam, former world champion, friend of the show. The Frenchman is now 38-6. That one was for the WBC Continental Americas and the WBO Global middleweight titles. Hassan Ndam down in round 3. Sad for him, but I think the writing was on the wall, really. It was a bit of a mismatch. And Esquiva Falcao with a win, now 29-0, a technical decision after 6 rounds against Patrice Volney, who was previously undefeated, 16-0, now 16-1. Very close as well on the cards. One judge actually had it to Volney, and the other 2 judges had it narrowly to Falcao. So that one, that's a bit of a bad look, really, for Falcao, who I was tipping as, he's not young, but, quite a good prospect, dare I say that, quite a good contender perhaps. And the main event, Terence Bud Crawford, now 38-0, a TKO in round 10 against Sean Porter, now 31-4 with a draw. Porter down twice in the 10th round. It was for the WBO welterweight world title. My take on this fight here, I'm just going to run through it. The first round I gave to Sean Porter. I liked the feints, and who knew that he could feint? I never seen him do that before in his boxing career. I liked how he was able to put Crawford on the back foot a little bit. He actually boxed and did well. Boxing, arguably the best pound for pound boxer. He was boxing and it was working weirdly. Great start for Sean Porter. Round 2 was a really, really close round. Both men had good moments, particularly Crawford. He landed a lovely power jab that for me wobbled Porter just a tiny bit, and Porter did also get through with a clean right hand of his own, which made Bud, look at the ref for some reason. I felt that round could have gone either way. I think most people gave it to Porter. It was a really exciting fight, though, after just 2 rounds. Round 3, Porter was cut by his right eye. It was a head clash, but I gave that round to Crawford. Again, both guys had moments. I didn't like some of the kidology of Crawford. I didn't think it was very respectful considering both guys were friends, but it's all part of it, I guess. Crawford, I gave round 4 as well. Porter was getting countered a lot when he was trying to get on the inside of Crawford. He was lunging, he was walking into left hands from Crawford, and Crawford was picking his shots well. I liked his level change in, his awkward stance. Round 5, I gave to Porter. He got through with some nice shots, hooks on the inside, stuff like that. He backed Crawford up a few times. He had him on the ropes. I'm not sure how much was landing at times when Crawford had the high guard, but still, I felt that he did enough to win the round, Sean Porter. Round 6, another head clash. This time, Crawford was cut on his eyebrow. I felt that Porter, in the first 5 rounds, didn't really have that typical intensity that he always seems to bring. I wondered if maybe Porter perhaps didn't quite have the same intensity of pressure that he once possessed, but then he let it all out in round 6. Interesting tactics to try and change things up at the midway point. I gave that one to Sean Porter, that 6th round. Round 7, a Crawford round for me. Got back to his boxing a little bit. He showed less of his willingness to stand and trade as he did in previous rounds, and Porter again was getting countered coming in. Round 8, an amazing start to the round for Crawford, who was able to get a barrage of punches off and get in and out a couple of times, measuring the distance perfectly and using his reach advantage. Porter did land a bomb of a right hand though on Crawford, and Crawford took it well, but it looked like might have just put a slight dent in him for a second. But again, I gave that round to Crawford overall. Round 9, a Crawford round. I felt his boxing was really clever. I felt he probably got hit the least amount of times in that round compared to all the other previous rounds. And then, of course, round 10, down goes Porter. Early on in the round, another example of what I said earlier, he was getting caught coming in. He walked into a left uppercut. Down he went. I didn't think he was really hurt or anything. He got back up. Then, of course, later in the round, he goes down again. This time, he walked into a right hand. He kind of ducked down and got caught on the temple with a couple of shots. Not even necessarily clean shots. He just kind of got punched down, really. And he banged the canvas in anger. He didn't seem hurt again or anything, to be honest. He got back up, and then his father, Kenny Porter, stopped the fight. A little bit of a weird one, considering it had been a really close fight up until that round. But Porter, at least on my card, would have needed a stoppage. I did have it. After that round, he would have needed a stoppage, I should say, because that would have been a 10-7 round. So from that second knockdown, I think he needed a knockout there. Weird decision, though, to stop the fight. And, of course, after the fight, he's decided to announce his retirement from boxing. Before I come to you, Eddie, I just want to start by saying, obviously, what did you make of the fight? And also, what did you make of the stoppage? And also, do you think it was the right time for Sean Porter to retire?
The stoppage, to be honest, I was a little surprised at. I mean, I saw his dad on the ring apron, and it just surprised me in general just seeing him up there, because I didn't think that, honestly, as good as Terrence Crawford is, and as much as you could expect, a guy who's as good as him to be able to do anything, you know what I mean, possibly stop anyone. I just didn't think it would happen with Sean Porter. I had no idea that was going to happen. Even when he went down twice, it didn't look like he was completely out of it. It just looked like he was frustrated and like he almost couldn't believe it. He's like, I'm down again. Damn. You know what I mean? Pounding on the canvas, and then to see his dad come up and stop it. That kind of was just like, oh, dang, I wonder why he stopped it so quick. But maybe he knew something that I didn't. I could see that Sean was a little hurt, because you could see, like, at the replay, when they slowed it down a little bit, even not even slowing it down, you could see him, like, as he was getting up, he wasn't 100% steady. It took him a little bit of time to get to his feet, and and that was also probably part of him trying to like pound it out too. You know what I mean? It was frustration, and I'm always obviously probably trying to get his head together. But then once he gets up, turns around, sees his dad on the ring apron. I could just imagine how he felt in that, just never expecting to get stopped. No one ever like at our level at that point ever really expects to get stopped, and for it to happen is just like, ugh. And but before I get to his retirement, I just gotta say I really did not like what Kenny Porter did in the post-fight interview. and his explanation of why he stopped the fight. It just reminded me so much of my dad, as much as I love my dad. And, you know, he did a lot of good things for me, and he got me to a hell of a point in my career. And, you know, thank him for even getting me into the sport of boxing. But it just reminded me so much of that. And it's just like, it's almost like using his son as a scapegoat to kind of say, oh, well, it's his fault. You know what I mean? He lost. Now we lost. He lost. He should have been doing what I told him. You know what I mean? If he would have listened to me, we would have won. Instead of just saying, look, Terrence Crawford's a great fighter. We did the best we could in camp. We got into the best shape we've ever been in. He just was the better man tonight. But he had to use his son as a scapegoat and like kind of just throw him on under the bus and say, well, if Sean would have done what he's supposed to do in camp, maybe this wouldn't have happened. You know, you know, and he said, and they asked, were you surprised? And why would you stop it at that time? Well, I mean, I stopped it because if my son would have done what he was supposed to do in camp, you know, things might have been different. And it's just like, that just really turns it into something else. And really, that even kind of takes a little bit of the win away from Terrence Crawford trying to say that Sean Porter wasn't his best self in there. It's just really, really not fair. You understand what I'm saying? To the fighter and what he's gone through in camp to prepare for that. And then to get in there and fight a hell of a fight up to the point of getting stopped. And then to just kind of be slapped in the face. That kind of bothered me a little bit. It kind of, like I said, it reminded me of something my dad might have said. Maybe not necessarily with cameras on him, but he would have said it nevertheless to somebody that could hear it. And he even said it one time, I think, when I fought on HBO, you can hear him say, you know, not to be too graphic with the language, but I got to say it like he said it, fuck that basketball, that swimming, and all that crap that you want to do, and we need to get back to the basics type stuff. And he said it where the cameras and everything and the sound people were able to pick up what he said. So everybody heard it. So it just kind of reminded me of that, and it just really made me feel like, damn. Sometimes when you think of father-son relationships and, you know, when you're talking about training, it's hard for fathers to allow their sons to be their own man sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And do what they feel is best because they always feel like, well, I got your best interest at heart. You know, I'm the one that was there when nobody else was and blah, blah, blah. And not allow them to just grow up and be their own person. You know what I'm saying? And my brother, you know, and Steve knows Sean even more than I do. He spent more time with them, with him and Kenny Porter. And he could just... different things that have happened over time. He was explaining to me like, man, sometimes he was looking at him like, oh, why are you letting him do this? And Sean would just kind of laugh it off. And it's like when that happens over time, over years, they don't care where they're at. They'll go on TV and make you look bad. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they feel the situation was. They don't think that they did anything wrong. They think that that's okay. And it's not. And that's why sometimes father-son relationships are really difficult. And why they sometimes don't work and we end up splitting. You know what I'm saying? But, and to go to his retirement, and they said, I think, Joey, you told me that he said he was possibly going to do this whether he won or lost anyway, which is a little bit, I don't know, to me. I mean, I sometimes you look at retirement after a fight and when a guy loses and says, you know, it's an emotional decision that he made. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, there was a time that I was going to retire. I was going to say I was going to retire, especially after the South African fight with Machunu when I fought him. I was thinking about, oh, man, if I can't beat that kid, I'm retiring type thing. And sometimes you make emotional decisions following losses in fights that, you know, you feel like if I can't do it at this level, what's the point? I don't know if that's what Sean did. I don't know if, you know, if he should have announced his retirement that soon after. I think maybe he should have waited a little while, you know, before he actually announced it. But then saying, oh, well, if he did say this, I don't know. I didn't actually hear him. Well, I was going to retire whether I won or lost. I just don't know about that. I wouldn't be surprised to hear in a few years or a year him saying he wants to come back. But, you know, it's unfortunate. I mean, I hated to see him go down the way he did because I thought he was definitely going to go. And at least lose by decision. But I thought he was still in the fight, so it's just unfortunate. But he's a great fighter. He had a great career, and hopefully he gets consideration and going to some form of a Hall of Fame somewhere. But he's definitely done a lot of great things in boxing, and he's been a warrior his whole career. So I'm just privileged to have met him and seen him fight. So it's a good situation, hopefully. And obviously Terrence Crawford is one of the best in the world. So we'll see him in things to come.
Yeah, we shall. I feel like it's not the end of the road for Sean Porter. That's just my gut feeling. And also, someone else pointed out to me that immediately afterwards, when they interviewed him in the ring, he did say that he wants to fight Terence Crawford again. That was his immediate response as well, which I think some people are forgetting. But another knockout win for Terence Crawford, still 100% KO percentage at welterweight, which is unbelievable. But anyway, that brings the review part to a close. The final thing for me to do is to welcome our special guest on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former British welterweight champion. It is, of course, Mr. Bradley Skeete. Brad, welcome back on the show, man.
I'm good. How you been? Good to be back.
I've been fantastic, man. I'm greatly pleased to have you back. We last spoke back in October of 2018. It was just before the fight against Fernando Valencia. I remember joking with you at the time. I said that you tried to find the most Spanish-sounding name to beat after losing to Lejaraga. Obviously, you managed to get him out of there. You were the first man to stop him. It was impressive. Since then, he's gone on, by the way, to lose 20 fights in a row. He's turned into a journeyman, but hasn't really been stopped much at all. I think only twice more. So that was a good win. After that, obviously, the shock loss to Ramirez. I thought at that point, Brad, that you were finished. I've got to be honest. Can you understand why people would think that way as well?
Probably from, obviously, the loss to Laraja, and then obviously coming back, having that win, and that obviously, like you say, the shock defeat to Ramirez, to Ramirez, and do you know what I mean? And it's rightly so. People did think I'd retired, but that wasn't never the end of me. That wasn't me. The people, like I say, people looking in probably would think that because two stoppage defeats. Do you know what I mean? But it just wasn't me. Like, listen, it's in the past now. But going back out in Spain to Laraja, that just had a few personal issues going on at the time, and it just wasn't me in there. Lost to the better guy. Do you know what I mean? Like he was a great champion and he was a great fighter, but it wasn't me in there. And obviously coming back, getting that good win, and then the Ramirez fight was just a shambles, to be honest. Not really said about it, but the show was cancelled, and then it was on, then it was off, then it was on. I lost count of how many opponents I had change, and it was going to be for a title. It wasn't going to be for a title. So the whole process and the whole build-up was just a shambles. I didn't know if I was coming or going. And when I finally got an opponent and it was finally for a title, it was a week to go. Do you know what I mean? And at that stage, I was sick of boxing. I was sick of everything, to be honest. And the preparation just wasn't ideal. And I should have never even been in there. I remember walking to the ring and it just wasn't switched on one bit. And listen, I got in the ring, I lost to the better guy on the night. Do you know what I mean? But he shouldn't be lacing up my boots, let alone stopping me. But I needed some time off and I needed a break, and that's exactly what I've done. I didn't say I was retired, but going back to your question, I could understand why people did think I was going to retire coming off of them two losses. Yeah,
and even just like, what else did you have to offer? I was kind of thinking that's got to be it. I mean, what can you do after losing to the second guy in particular? Obviously, up until those two losses, in my head, you were still unbeaten. I've said it for years. I thought you beat Frankie Gavin. You'd gone through the British title scene like a hot knife through butter. You were knocking on the door for a world title. Jeff Horn didn't want no part of you. Obviously, the loss to Lejaraga, then to the Argentinian guy who no one really knew. Since then, obviously, as you say, you took time out, 2 years and a half. You come back. You've had that one fight, the stoppage against Dow Arrowsmith. Not many people stop him, so again, it's a bit impressive, but quite meaningless in terms of the grand scheme of things. Do you feel like you've got a lot to prove in this upcoming fight, Brad? A lot of, maybe some
100%.
reminding for the fans.
You hit the nail on the head. Like you say, like people, I've read, I've seen it on social media, on the internet. People are just discrediting me and brushing me off. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm nothing. They really forget what I've been and done and what I'm about. Do you know what I mean? I'm a 34-year-old man, grown man who's been in boxing a very long time. I've been there, done it, got the T-shirt. And this is what's getting my back up. Like, I'm fighting. Listen, no disrespect to Hamzah. I like him. I've said it. And there's no disrespect there, no bad about there. But I've got my back up, and I'm going to show him and prove to people who's doubting me, like, don't ever think that of me that can use a scalp on my name. Like, he's a 22-year-old kid and 13 fights. Do you know what I mean? 2 years ago, they wouldn't even have dreamed of mentioning mine and his name together. Now that everyone's talking, like, do you know what I mean? He's going to do a job on me. No way. Like, I've got a point to prove in this fight, and I'm showing everyone I'm back and what I'm about. Do you know what I mean? I've still got a future in boxing. I've still want goals I need to achieve and want to achieve. Do you know what I mean? And move on. I've moved up to Sheffield. I've sacrificed moving away from my family and friends and putting in the work up in Sheffield. I'm with a world-class coach in Dom. I'm surrounded by world-class fighters. Like, if I wasn't serious, I would have picked the easy route and just stayed at home and had a 10-minute trip to the gym and been comfortable. Do you know what I mean? It's been a tough process, a long process, but I've got this opportunity now, and do you know what I mean? I'm gonna show people what I'm about, and the same people who's doubting me and expecting me just to, I don't know what, expecting me what to do, but they're going to be the same people licking my ass after this fight when I smash his face in and show everyone, do you know what I mean, the work I've been putting in.
You can take the boy out of Penge, but not Penge out the boy, it sounds.
There you go.
No, honestly,
I'm sick of it, to be honest. Like, people think I'm Mr. Nice Guy and all that, like, but like, it's do you know what I mean? It's got to me, people just discrediting and brushing my success and what I've done. Do you know what I mean? I've been in boxing a very long time, and I've achieved what people dream of. Do you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
And just because I had a little break and some time off, people soon forget.
Yeah, no, I understand. You sound hungrier than I've heard you speak for years.
I'm on it.
Obviously, you're the underdog. Do you understand why you're the underdog? Do you feel like you're rightfully the underdog? He's on a real high, and like you say, you haven't been seen for a while. You had those 2 losses.
Yeah, listen, like I say, I'm not discrediting him and his career. He's 22. He's had 13 fights. He's unbeaten, and he's stopped a lot of them 13. Not too sure how many, but he stopped a lot of them 13, and people are calling him the best prospect in Britain, and they're going to be knocking on the door, going on to be world champion. And listen, I'm sure he will be, but not from me. Like, his time will come, but this is too soon. Whoever's picked this fight and agreed this fight has made a very, very big mistake. Like I say, he can fight. He's a good fighter. Yeah, I might be the underdog, but they're overlooking what I've done. Do you know what I mean? Look through his record. He hasn't boxed a name. Who I don't know who the biggest name he's got on his record, but whoever that is, they couldn't lace my boots. Do you know what I mean?
How do you see this fight playing out, Brad? Obviously, you were always tall for welterweight. You're up at 154 here. It's more so his weight naturally. You're both listed as the same height. You're both pure boxers, really. It is you first experience. Yeah,
of course. Experience is key in this fight. And listen, he's big. He's very big for the weight. So he probably I'd say struggles to do the 154 weight category. Do you know what I mean? He's very big for the weight. He's young, so he's growing. So I believe that he struggles for the weight. He's always, you got to look and see, he's always in a sweatsuit and a sweat top or whatever training. That can't be right. Do you know what I mean? It's not ideal. always, do you know what I mean, training in sweat tops and that. So that obviously is going to play a part in this fight. Like I say, he's going to know he's in the fight. He's not boxed no one of my experience and my ability. He's going to know he's in the fight. I'm coming to win, and that's how I see it going. Do you know what I mean?
And I was wondering as well, Brad, do you maybe need to be the underdog or have pressure on you to bring out the best in you? I know that that's a bit cliche, but you box great against Frankie Gavin. You box the best I've seen you box against Sam Eggington. Then, like I say, you absolutely steamed through the domestic scene. You won the belt outright. I've just mentioned there 5 fights that you might have not been the underdog for all of them, but the pressure was on and you'd have been fully motivated for all of them, whereas the losses, respectfully, were to guys you probably thought you could beat with your eyes closed.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I'm going into this fight. I've never been up for a fight so much as I have this one. I'm like say my back's up. There's been comments made and that, and what I don't appreciate, and I've got a serious point to prove, and I can't wait to shut everyone up and just say, listen, I'm back. Remember who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the Ingle gym. We've seen some fighters go there. It's worked out for them. Some others have gone there. It hasn't worked out so good. What's your experience been like? Because most of it isn't public knowledge. You've been there a good while now under Dominic. I haven't really heard much being in the media. I don't think many people know how I guess, comfortable the fit is for you.
Yeah, no, I've it's ideal. Do you know what I mean? I've gelled with Dom and the gym and the style, the Ingle way is unbelievable, and I'm so happy. I've got a smile on my face going into the gym. I'm happy. I'm learning new things. Like I say, I'm a happy fighter. I'm a very, very happy fighter, and I'm glad I made the move up here and working with Dom now. I had a run out in June. Like I say, it was to Dow Harrowsmith. It was just a run out. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to disrespect Dow. He's a very good fighter, very tough fighter. He didn't have to take the fight. He stepped up and took the fight. But I dealt with him very, very well. Do you know what I mean? And like you say, you don't get stopped. And I got him out of there quite comfortably. And it's just showed a glimpse of what I've been doing in the gym. The switch hitting, the moving, the relaxed. And that's my style anyway. So I've just added to it and more.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see if the jab has come back. I said to you the other day, you had a world-class jab. When you were coming through the British scene, your jab was one of the best in the division, if not the best in the division. It was unbelievable. But then it seemed to go away for a few fights. If it's come back, I can't wait to see it. I want to say as well, obviously, as we said, you had to move from Penge to Sheffield. It's a long way away. Everything's different. What's it been like? Obviously, I'm guessing, you've had to completely move, and that's the way it's been through lockdown as well.
Yeah, I've moved up to Sheffield. I live up here full time. I'm based here now, and it's work to me. I'm here and I'm putting in work, and I just eat, sleep, and train, and but that's the sacrifice I needed to make to be where I want to be and get to where I want to get to. Like I say, if it was just a thing of me coming back and just, do you know what I mean? Like, just having a go, then I would have stayed at home and been around my home comforts and found a gym and been in the gym 10 minutes from my house. So, and that wasn't meant to, that wasn't never going to be the case. I decided to make a change, and this has worked out ideal for me. I always believe things happen for a reason, bad and good, and I believe that the time off, the rest, and the move to Sheffield has been ideal.
Well, I'm real pleased to hear that, man. And I just want to say before we wrap it up, Brad, if you've got any closing words just to the listeners, obviously it's been a while. You made your BoxHard podcast debut years ago. It's good to have you back on. I'm sure the listeners agree as well. Yeah,
thank you. Just as always, thank you for the support. And to everyone, even in my time off, the support and all the love and the messages I received was unbelievable. And I'm back now. I'm back, and I can't wait to put on a show and get that win and push on to bigger and better things.
There we go. Listen, Brad, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, my man. I'm happy to have you back in boxing. Cannot wait for the fight December 4th, and I'm sure we'll speak sometime after.
Top man. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. We're going to start here with a card that's been announced for, it's going to be on, January the 1st, Saturday, January the 1st. It's a PBC card featuring a bunch of heavyweights. We've got Luis Ortiz against Charles Martin as the main event. We've got Frank Sanchez against Carlos Negron. We've got the rematch between Jonathan Rice and Michael Polite Coffey. And we've got Gerald Washington taking on Demirezan. That's the Turkish fighter, I think based in Germany, who lost his O to the Nigerian, what's the Nigerian's name again, Eddie? Heavyweight. Just lost to Frank Sanchez. God, what's his name again?
Well, shit, I was just about to say his name. I can't. Now that made me lose it.
Oh my God.
Dang, he's just like,
Effie Jagba. Effie Jagba.
There you go. There you go.
So, that should be quite a good fight because Demirezan's quite good. Jessica McCaskill signed a promotional deal with Matchroom. Again, she defends her undisputed titles against Victoria Bustos on December 4th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. On the undercard, Filip Hrgovic, Montana Love, coming off that brilliant win against Ivan Baranchyk. And Austin Amo Williams returns to the ring after suffering some issues outside of the ring. Moving on now, though, to the preview part of the show. We're going to start here tomorrow night in Russia. We've got Sergei Kuzmin, 15-2, coming off those 2 losses in a row. The first one to Michael Hunter on points, the second one to Martin Bacoli on points. He takes on Igor Aldiao Macedo da Silva, who's 10-0 with 10 KOs from Brazil. Could be spicy up at heavyweight there. Moving out now to the Moto Space Dubai Investment Park. Over here we have on the card O'Hara Davies, 22-2, taking on Ishmael Barroso, 23-2. 23-3 with 2 draws. That one for the WBA Gold World Super Lightweight title. O'Hara Davies, after winning that Golden Contract tournament, I'm not sure what's going on here, but he gets in with Barroso. It's a decent fight. Barroso's been, in and around world level. Who did he box? He boxed Crawler, didn't he? I think he also might have... did he box Kevin Mitchell as well, I believe? On the undercard, we've got Rocky Fielding, 28-2, getting in with Emmanuel Danso, who's 32-6. That's over 10 there. We've got Badu Jack having a fight here, I believe, at cruiserweight. He takes on Samuel Crossid, who's 11-1 with a draw. Badu Jack, 24-3 with 3 draws. That's it for that one. Moving out now to the Bolton Whites Hotel. This one in Bolton, of course, on Friday night. Jack Massey, 18-1 in a good fight over 12 rounds against Bilal Lagoon, who's 25-2 with 2 draws. That one is for the vacant IBO Cruiserweight World title. Bilal Lagoon, I want to say I've definitely seen him fight before. I just can't remember who it was against, so bear with me while I check that out. Bilal Lagoon, I want to say from Belgium. Yep, I'm right on that one. He lost to Tommy McCarthy by a majority decision in his last fight back in August of 2020. That's where I remember him from. On the undercard, nothing really going on there. Moving out now to the Val Sports Arena in Cardiff. Over here, we have Akeem Ennis-Brown, 14-1, coming off that loss to Sammy Maxwell. Very controversial one. He's in a 10-rounder against Daniel Comby, who's 9-4. That one for the vacant WBC International Super Lightweight title. Also on the card, Jay Harris, 18-2, friend of the show. Coming off, I think he's coming off that loss, actually, that shock loss he had. He's fighting here for the vacant WBA Intercontinental Light Flyweight title against the undefeated Hector Flores, who's 18-0 with 4 draws. Moving out now to the Holt Suite in Villa Park, Birmingham. Over here, Sam Gilly, friend of the show, 12-1. He is fighting for the vacant English Super Welterweight title against Evaldas Korsakas, who's 10-7 with 3 draws. Doesn't sound very English to me. All the best, though, to Sam Gilly. Moving out now stateside for the final couple of cards we have here at the Park Theatre in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's going to be on Showtime. We have Brandon Figueroa, 22-0 with a draw, taking on Philadelphia's very own Stephen Fulton, 19-0 here for Brandon's WBC and Stephen Fulton's WBO World Super Bantamweight titles. Both guys friends of the show. It's going to be a brilliant fight. I love the fact that Stephen Fulton is, winning a world title and going straight for a unification in his, in his first fight as champion. That shows what he's all about. When he was on this show a few weeks ago, he told me that the first thing he wants to do is become unified champion and then become undisputed champion. He wants to fight with Murajon Akhmadaliev. He tells me that the Figueroa fight is going to go exactly how he wants it to on the night. He tells me he's not bothered about where the fight takes place. In fact, after the fight is done and he probably flies back to Philly, that's when he's going to realise, oh my God, I fought in Vegas. How crazy is that? None of this is getting inside his head. He completely is focused on the task at hand. However, doesn't matter how focused you are. Brandon Figueroa is a guy that brings it every single time. He's never in a boring fight. He's used to wearing his opponents down and getting stoppages, and it's going to be a brilliant fight. I can't see a way that this fails to deliver in terms of entertainment and excitement. Stephen Fulton boxed he beat the guy, I forgot his name, for the title, Angelo Leo. He beat him for the title. He's a little bit one-dimensional, a little bit of a kind of, a brawler, but a little bit one-dimensional. Brandon Figueroa is not. This is a whole nother challenge here. It's a great fight. I know, Eddie, you're probably not too familiar with Brandon Figueroa as a fighter, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a great fight. Did you want to say any words on this?
I'm looking forward to it. I heard about the kid. I heard he's pretty good. You know what I mean? I heard he's really good, actually. And I've been knowing Scooter since he was a little kid. Since the days of him being in Shepherd's Gym, and then on up to when he was in Schuler's. He's always been an impressive young guy. He's been good. He's a good kid. He was always around the gym, always training. So he has a great deal of experience, amateur experience going into even pro experience. He's been in with a lot of good competition and sparring and things in general. I feel like he should be okay on the night, but I hear this kid is going to be a whole challenge for him. It ain't going to be nothing that he's experienced previous. So, I'm just looking forward to it, and I'm just hoping Scooter. Well, let's let him. I'm going to call him Stephen Fulton now. I ain't going to try to bring up those old names when he was a little kid, but I'm just hoping that he can, deliver and get it done on the night.
We shall see. It should be a good one. May the best man win. On the undercard, we've got Reece Salim, 18-0, getting in with Eduardo Baez, who's 20-1 with 2 draws. We've got Gary Antonio Russell, friend of the show, 18-0 in a 10-rounder against Alexandro Santiago. Very experienced fighter, despite only being young. He's only 25, 5'2.5" in height. Obviously down there at bantamweight, I believe the fight's at. But he's very experienced, like I say, and a very, very tough Mexican. Obviously, he has the 2 losses. They were very early on in his career. In fact, they were both in 6-rounders. One was a split decision, and one was a unanimous one back in 2013. He hasn't lost a fight for 7 years. In that time, he's drawn with a number of decent fighters. Antonio Nieves, Jose Martinez, both undefeated fighters. He drew, again, in the rematch with Jose Martinez. He drew for the world title against Jerwin Ancajas, a split decision. That is a hard thing to do. Since then, he's been on a win streak and he's been knocking people out in most of those wins. It's a real good fight here for Gary Antonio Russell, who, if he's anything like his brother, he's one of his many brothers called Gary. I'm talking about Gary Russell Jr. If he's anything like him, he needs to do a job on this guy here, and he can't really afford to perform how he did in the last fight, where he wasn't that impressive, but then I think one of his brothers passed away that same week, so we can forgive him for that. It was awful. Moving out now to the Madison Square Garden Theatre. This one is big as well. It's going to be on DAZN. On the undercard, we've got Britain's very own Ramla Ali, 3-0. She's in a 4-2-minute contest against 1-0 Isela Vera. There's 2 women's fights on the card. We've got Reshat Mati, 11-0 in a 10-rounder against Nicholas DeMario, who's 15-5 with 3 draws. We've got Raymond Ford, one of the best prospects probably in the United States, 9-0 with a draw in a 10-rounder against Felix Caraballo, 13-3 with 2 draws. That's for the WBA Continental Featherweight title. We've got Zili Zhang, the southpaw 6'6" Chinese Olympic silver medalist, who doesn't look that good as a pro and still is undefeated, which is crazy. 22-0 with a draw in an 8-rounder against Craig Lewis, who's 14-4 with a draw. We've got Azinga Fuzil, who's 15-1, coming off that brilliant win last time out when he knocked out Martin J. Ward. One of our fighters from over here. He's fighting for the vacant IBF World Super Featherweight title against Kenichi Ogawa, the guy that beat Tevin Farmer. I thought that Tevin Farmer deserved to win, but he beat him. Then he tested positive for steroids or whatever it was, and then they stripped him and it went down as a no contest, and then he went back to Japan. I don't think he even served a ban. He's been winning every fight. Now he's back fighting for the vacant world title over 12 rounds. And the main event, Teofimo Lopez, friend of the show, 16-0, defending his WBA, WBO and IBF world lightweight titles against friend of the show from down under, George Kambosos Jr., 19-0. Holds some good wins on his record, really good fighter. Sparred Manny Pacquiao about 300 rounds in the wild card. He's beaten former world champions like Mickey Bay and Lee Selby. Should be a really good fight. I'm hoping that that it delivers. I think you have to favour Lopez, despite being quite inactive. Hasn't boxed since that win last time out against Lomachenko. I mean, it's incredible. Lomachenko's had a fight since then against Nakatani. His next fight's already lined up. It's going to be exciting to see Teofimo again, man. I love watching him fight. But George Kambosos, very confident young guy with a beautiful young family. And he believes in himself. Trust me, he really does. He thinks he's going to win. The fight has been postponed about 5 or 6 times. It's finally on, and I cannot wait to see it. The final card to mention takes place at the Globe Life Field. I hope it's not really a field. It's going to be on Fight TV. It's in Arlington, Texas. Over here, it's a weird one, but we love weird ones on this show. We've got Kubrat Pulev headlining in Texas, 28-2, in a 9-round fight. Yes, I love things like this. Just weird, undescribable, unexplainable situations. Kubrat Pulev in a 9-round fight in a field in Texas against UFC veteran who is 0-1 as a pro, Frank Mir. so all the best to Kubrat Pulev. I hope it's in a field. I really do. I hope it's in a field and there's no chairs. They've got a ring made out of not that doesn't have a soft canvas. It's I don't know, made out of wood or something like that. And there's no chairs anywhere. Everyone's just standing up. That would be good. I'd like to see that. But yeah, Kubrat Pulev in a 9-rounder against Frank Mir. You couldn't make it up. This is boxing. This is why we love it. But that wraps up, though, the second part of this show. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 319 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A huge thank you to our special guest this week, the former British welterweight champion, Mr. Bradley Skeete. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. Remember to tell a friend about the podcast. Remember to leave us a review on iTunes if you've got the time. We really do appreciate those, by the way. Remember, if you wish to improve your below-the-waist hygiene, remember to visit www.manscaped.com, because right now they've got a Black Friday sale on, so do not miss out on that. But that's about everything from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you all again next week.